This is what you need to know now. Luigi Mangione's case takes a new turn as sources say prosecutors and his defense team prepare to discuss a possible plea deal. The LA Lakers could soon have new owners and what would be a record-breaking deal. And the miracle rescue after 3 tubers disappear for days on a Michigan river. I'm Rachel Scott from ABC News. It is Wednesday, August 12th, and here's the big story. ABC News has learned prosecutors and defense attorneys in the Luigi Mangione case are expected to discuss a possible plea deal at a federal court conference on Friday. Sources say plea negotiations had also taken place earlier this summer, but no deal was reached. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state and federal charges and the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He's set to go on trial in New York State Court next month, with his federal trial scheduled for January. Matt Rivers is tracking it all.
If there is a plea deal reached on Friday, and that's a big if, what that would mean for the state case. One thing we do know is that state prosecutors have said in the past that if there were eventually a plea agreement reached in the federal case, that state prosecutors would lobby very hard the judge in the federal case to impose an even stiffer sentence or the stiffest sentence that they could possibly allow.
Voters in several states weighed in on key primary races, with results showing the continuing fight over the direction and the future of the Democratic Party. So in Wisconsin, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley pulled off a narrow upset, defeating Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong for the Democratic nomination for the state's governor. After his victory, Crowley called for Democrats to come together and unite. He will face Republican Tom Tiffany, who has President Trump's backing, in November. But over in Minnesota, a different story. The progressive wing celebrated a victory. Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan defeated Representative Angie Craig for the Democratic Senate nomination. Meanwhile, Mike Lindell of My Pillow fame lost his bid to become the next Republican nominee for governor. He was endorsed by President Trump. And in South Carolina, Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham, advanced to a runoff against conservative Congressman Ralph Norman to replace her brother for a full term. Now to President Trump addressing his plane switching ruse. The president said it was Secret Service and the military that made that call to sneak him onto a different plane as he left the NATO summit there in Turkey last month. The New York Times reports that U.S. officials feared the Iranians had information on the president's whereabouts in Turkey and that they could target his plane with a surface-to-air missile. The traveling press and most of his staff remained on that decoy Air Force One, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Sources tell ABC News both Bessent and Rubio knew President Trump had been taken off the plane because of a serious threat, but many others on the plane had absolutely no idea what exactly was going on. Meanwhile, President Trump is insisting the U.S. has total control of the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran is rejecting that claim flat out, saying the critical waterway will remain closed until the U.S. accepts its conditions and changes its, quote, behavior. The Strait, of course, is a key flashpoint in this war, carrying about 1/5 of the world's oil and natural gas shipments in peacetime. And there was another escalation just yesterday. CENTCOM saying U.S. forces disabled a cargo ship trying to break the blockade of Iranian ports. The latest severe summer storms in the Midwest were powerful enough to flip over a car on an interstate in Ohio. Hurricane-strength winds reaching 82 miles per hour were reported in Columbus. Flooding then in the town of Roseville, Ohio, is blamed for at least 1 death. And 16 inmates at an Ohio correctional facility were hospitalized after a lightning strike. And take a look at this. In northern Indiana, a woman was killed in a home explosion just after a powerful storm brought down trees and power lines. Just staggering images there. Some of those areas could see even more storms today. A 4-hour tubing trip in Michigan turned into a 3-day survival ordeal. On Tuesday last week, authorities say 2 adults and a 9-year-old child set out on the Muskegon River, but their inflatable rafts broke, leaving them stranded deep within the woods. Then on Friday afternoon, an officer followed footprints and heard their cries for help. Look at this video. The 3 were treated at medical facilities for scrapes, cuts, dehydration, but otherwise, thankfully, they are all okay. A dramatic scene after the devastating earthquake in Colombia. A woman was rescued from the rubble of a collapsed building overnight. She had been trapped for 36 hours. The death toll now tops 200 people, but thousands are still missing. And ABC's Faith Abube is there on the scene.
Right now, we're in the middle of an army of community volunteers. They've been working nonstop, digging through this rubble with their bare hands and buckets. Every few minutes, they call for silence so they can hear if there are any survivors.
Now to some quick hits, other stories that we're following here on ABC News. New data from the Labor Department shows inflation cooled slightly last month, with prices up 3.4% from a year ago. That's down from June. And core inflation, which excludes food and energy, also eased. And the LA Lakers could soon have new owners in what would be the most expensive team sale in sports history. ESPN reports Josh Kushner and Bob Iger are buying the Lakers for more than $12 billion. Just last year, Mark Walter bought a controlling stake from the Buss family for about $10 billion. Iger, of course, is the former CEO of the Walt Disney Company. Josh Kushner is the younger brother of President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. In a statement, Kushner and Iger say they are honored to become stewards of one of the world's most iconic sports franchises. And tonight's Powerball jackpot is up to $1 billion, believe it or not, after there was no big winner once again. The grand prize will be the 8th largest ever in history. We wish you all good luck. Keep us posted. And finally, before you go, a surprise that definitely rattled an Arkansas high school football player. An expert was called in after the player could feel something moving on his head. And it turns out it was a venomous snake that was found inside his helmet. The helmet was dunked in water to force that deadly cottonmouth out. It was then moved to a wooded area far away from that school. Luckily, that player is okay. Ooh, quite a frightening scene. And that's what you need to know. For breaking news and live updates throughout the day, check out ABC News, streaming on Disney+.